Hello everybody, today is Monday the 17th of September. My name's Gareth Evans and this is Pretty Good Gaming. We do have loads of news to talk to you about today, including Assassin's Creed Odyssey on the Switch, more loot box investigations, Shadow of the Tomb Raider's disappointing opening weekend. But first up, Fortnite, and apparently it might ruin your marriage. Since its launch last year, Fortnite has seen what can only be described as a meteoric rise to dominance in the games industry. And during that time, it's been making headlines all across the globe for its huge revenue numbers, player figures and tournament prize pools, with the most recent announcement that the upcoming fall skirmish has a whopping $10 million prize pool. However, it's also been making headlines for other, you might say, less romantic reasons. Company divorceonline.co.uk has been digging into divorce petitions, and it's found that Fortnite has been mentioned in 200 divorce petitions since January 1st, 2018 in the UK, which is a whopping 5% of the 4,665 divorce petitions it used for the report. A spokesperson for the company said, "Addiction to drugs, alcohol and gambling have often been cited as reasons for relationship breakdowns, but the dawn of the digital revolution has introduced new addictions. These now include online pornography, online gaming and social media. So it is no surprise to us that more and more people are having relationship problems because of our digital addictions. These numbers equate to roughly 5% of the 4,665 petitions we have handled since the beginning of the year, and as one of the largest filers of divorce petitions in the UK, it is a pretty good indicator." Pretty good! Although Fortnite likes to be categorised as a game for children by the media, it might surprise you to learn that 50% of Fortnite players are actually employed full-time, according to a separate report filed in May. Haven't seen the Daily Mail pick up this headline yet, but as you can imagine, it's just a matter of time. Fortnite killed my marriage and all that kind of nonsense. People get addicted to loads of stuff. There's a couple of examples there that the guy just said. Some weird stuff as well. Just a quick Google search will show you that people can be addicted to almost anything these days. Just be careful to delete your browsing search history after that one. The way I see it is that Fortnite and games in general are more like a coping mechanism, like the coping with all the shit that's going on in your marriage, coping with all the shit that goes on in your life. That's like your outlet, your therapy, calming yourself down when all the shit gets thrown at you. So the fact that games are being cited in these divorce petitions should not be alarming, should not be surprising, so long as that you do understand that games serve a certain purpose in people's lives. So long as people understand that, then the likes of the Daily Mail can go ahead and write whatever headlines they want about games. Because we all know in our heart of hearts that 95% of marriages, at least here in the UK, will last longer than Fortnite. It is time for some news nuggets. Give me those nuggies. First up, one of the most acclaimed indie games of recent memory, Undertale, is now available on the Nintendo Switch. That launched on Saturday. The Escapists Complete Edition for the Switch was announced and will be available for download on the platform on September the 25th. What better way to commemorate the successful launch of your new Spider-Man game than to put a trailer together with all the nice things that people said about it? Assassin's Creed Odyssey has gone gold according to the devs on Twitter. The hack and slasher Let It Die is coming to PC on the 26th of September. And despite all the bad press Nintendo's been getting recently regarding Nintendo Switch Online, it was confirmed that you will not require an online subscription to continue playing Fortnite on the Switch after the service launches, which is great news for divorce attorneys here in the UK. And while it's not breaking news that a Fallout New Vegas mod for Fallout 4 is in the works, we have, however, just received more footage of the mod in action. Sir Bumfrey Diggles has been working on the mod for over a year already, and as you can see from the footage, which shows off the first 10 minutes of the New Vegas mod, it is shaping up very nicely. According to a report surveying over 11,500 UK customers, PlayStation has been declared the third most recognisable brand in the UK. The report shared by consultancy firm Profit puts Nintendo down at number 11 and Microsoft's Xbox down at a lowly 17. And that is it for today's news nuggets. If you want to go and check out anything that I've just mentioned, links to everything are in the description of this video. You're welcome. It has been a long weekend. I've been traveling, didn't get a lot of sleep, but you know, sometimes I just wake up grumpy. Other times I let her sleep in. I'm not actually married to one of the 7 dwarfs. That was just a joke. And thanks to Frozen Monkey from the PGG Discord for that contribution, sir. Despite it being a multi-platform and it being a well-established game franchise, the newest entry in the Tomb Raider series, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, hasn't really made much of an impact, according to the opening weekend sales figures. Shadow of the Tomb Raider released across all platforms on Friday the 14th of September and entered into the UK sales chart at number 2, behind Spider-Man, which is of course a PlayStation 4 exclusive. It is worth noting that these charts do not factor digital sales into the equation, which may account for the lackluster results. Regardless, the sales figures aren't great for Lara Croft's most recent outing. As reported by GamesIndustry.biz, 63% of the overall launch sales came on the PS4, with the remaining 37% coming on the Xbox One. Conversely, Spider-Man, which again sits at the top of the UK charts, is only 42% down on last week's sales figures, which is still very impressive, especially when you consider that Spider-Man has almost eclipsed the overall sales figures for PS4's last big exclusive and many people's nomination for Game of the Year so far, God of War. Spider-Man's doing awesome, Shadow of the Tomb Raider not so much. That is just here in the UK, although it's not entirely surprising. I've not seen hardly any marketing or promotion for Shadow of the Tomb Raider in the UK myself. It's only because I work on a news channel looking for news every single day that I happen across the fact that it was even released last week. So how much of these seemingly bad sales figures do you attribute to bad marketing, bad promotion, or do you think that it's because Spider-Man is such a good game and everyone's playing that, nobody gives a shit about Shadow of the Tomb Raider? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Next up, let's talk about loot boxes, and Finland apparently is the next country looking at the legality of loot boxes in games and whether they can be classified as a form of gambling. Reports of the Finnish investigation originate from a statement issued by Finland's Lotteries Administration to the Helsingin Sanomat, which is the largest print newspaper in Finland. It states that in order for loot boxes to be considered gambling in the country, 4 conditions must be met. Loot boxes can be purchased partly or entirely with real-world money. Players do not know what they receive from the box. The box or its contents can be exchanged for real-world money either through the game's publisher or through a third party. And lastly, the publisher of the game does not have a lottery license. We have previously seen gambling authorities in the Netherlands and Belgium both conducting their own investigations over the last year or so, which resulted in new laws and regulations in the countries. With Valve and Blizzard both adapting their games such as Dota 2 and Overwatch to fall in line with the new laws, it does seem likely that both of these companies are waiting in anticipation for the outcome of the Finnish investigation. EA, however, who kicked off the whole loot box bollocks with the Battlefront 2 fiasco, have so far been defiant of the change in the laws and have not yet complied to the new regulations. It has been reported that Belgium's Gaming Commission has started making movements towards legal action against EA. So here's our loot box update of the day. Finland are now looking to try and regulate loot boxes in games. Looking at the criteria for regulation, it makes a lot of sense. Firstly, you can buy it with real world money. Secondly, you don't know what it is. Thirdly, you can exchange it for money. You can profit from it. And lastly, you don't have a lottery license. That's the simple process, right, that people go to. They pay money for a loot box. They open it without knowing what's in it. They see whether they've gained something which is worth more than their initial outlay. And then they take it somewhere and sell it and get profit from it. That is gambling in a nutshell. And it's this process that some games and developers and publishers have failed to acknowledge, that people can take random items that they've paid for, go elsewhere to a website which isn't affiliated necessarily, but then cash those items in for monetary gain, like a huge profit on those things. CSGO was the biggest example of this, where people could use skins and sell them for thousands of pounds in the past. Now, whether you think that games do this on purpose or whether publishers do this on purpose, whether it's their responsibility to stop people selling the items outside of the game or not, this is gambling, okay? This is flat out gambling. And hopefully this is one of many more gambling commissions waking up to that fact, because personally I think that gambling is a big problem in games. And although I feel we're heading down the right path, one thing is for sure, we are not finished with loot boxes just yet. Next up, Nintendo's cloud service will be bringing Assassin's Creed Odyssey to the Switch, proving the relationship between Nintendo and Ubisoft is still going strong. Although it will only be available in Japan and will only be coming via a streaming service. And this isn't the first time that Ubisoft and Nintendo have worked together. If you remember back at E3 2017, when Shigeru Miyamoto took the stage with Igimo to promote their collaboration, Mario & Rabbids Kingdom Battle. And this won't be the first game to be available to be streamed on the Switch. Resident Evil 7 was made available to play on the Switch via the cloud earlier this year. This was made possible in Japan thanks to the Taiwanese streaming company Ubisoft's Game Cloud. At the cost of $20 American, Resident Evil 7 became available for players to rent in Japan for a period of 180 days. All that Japanese gamers had to do was download and install a 45 megabyte client to be able to play the game in full. The streaming service for Resident Evil 7 has not so far been made available to gamers here in the West, which indicates that the same will likely be true of Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Although Ubisoft boss Guillermo has gone on record recently saying that the next generation of games consoles will be the last, saying that streaming is the future of the industry. So with Guillermo believing in streaming as the future of the industry, this is probably not the last example of a Ubisoft game being available on a streaming service. And although I am a little bit skeptical about streaming being the future of games, it definitely has a lot of potential. It just needs the internet infrastructure. The prospect of being able to play huge AAA games on a mobile platform like the Switch. In 10 years time you could have the original Nintendo Switch and still be playing those new AAA titles because you don't need, the hardware is not restrictive. The only limiting factor is the internet. So as soon as we sort that out, then maybe we'll talk Mo. Don't be too eager, Mo. That's your lot for today. I'll be back tomorrow at exactly the same time with some more news. Hit the bell if you want to be notified when that video goes live. I will see you then. Bye for now.